Good morning, D Grabbers.
Good morning.
So today is a Q&A, Ask Us Anything episode of Goat Talk. We're going to talk about a couple of other things too. Scarcity and scare tactics that other teachers use. We're going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that today too, because some stuff's come up this week and we'd like to have your thoughts on it too. So I think today we're going to do things a little bit different. If you want to come in the broadcast with us, let us know in the chat, and
Send you an invitation.
yeah, we'll send you a link and let you come in and share your thoughts on those things. So
We want to be a little more conversational today.
yeah, so you guys grab a cup of coffee or Mountain Dew or whatever it is that gets you going, and we'll be back in 45 seconds. Hey, sub-tours, welcome to this episode of Goat Talk. Goat Talk is our pretty much weekly Facebook Live. We take
Mostly
a week off, mostly weekly. We take a week off here or there to do some other stuff, but we're usually here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're usually here with a guest, or sometimes you're just stuck with us. But today is a Q&A episode. We're gonna.
So you're stuck with us.
Yeah, you're stuck with us today for the next hour or so anyway. But anyway, let's get going. First, I want to ask everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may be on Facebook, but maybe you're on YouTube, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that at sub2tv.com.
Yeah, we got a fancy domain for that.
Yeah, we're all uptown now. So check us out there. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We release a ton of videos every week, and there's Goat Nuggets and Goat Talk and our podcast. So we'll give you all kind of training on
TV. It feels like we're movie stars now.
Yeah. Oh well, we are movie stars for certain. we're sort of a big deal, but anyway, tell us who you are if you're here with us today. Who you are, where you are, what kind of investing you're doing. If you're new, if you're very experienced, we want to hear from you. So. Jodi, I think you're looking at the comments there. I'll let you man the comments today. Okay. All right. So
we got somebody Facebook user. What's the link again?
I think we've got that down here somewhere. Let's see. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and we'll know who's on here with us today.
Yeah. Otherwise, we just see that. We see Facebook's user.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for subscribing, though. That's awesome.
Yeah. We want to say hey to you. Houston, Texas, trying to get my first deal. All right. Good for you. Well, anything we can do to help, just let us know. If you got questions, today's a good day for that. We're getting ready to head out on a 2-week road trip. Gosh, we're going to be speaking everywhere.
Yeah. Because we're movie stars and we're on tour.
Yeah, that's right. We're going on tour for 2 weeks. We're going to spend a few days in Arkansas. We're going to be in Little Rock for one of our Max students, Randy Thomason. He runs a RIA there, ARCREIA, ARKREIA.com. You can go and learn about that. We're going to do his meeting and an all-day Saturday training. So you want to check that out.
So there's two different opportunities if you want to stop.
Right.
It's on what day? Tuesday and Saturday?
Thursday and Saturday will be at Randy's RIA. We're going to drive across the state to, I think it's Fort Smith. I might be wrong on that now. Chip Cronster has a group over there, and we're actually going to do a Friday night. They're having it at the Colton Steakhouse. There's a meeting room there, so we're going to do a little presentation for those guys on Friday night.
Look, we have groupies.
That's Vincent. Yeah, Vincent just moved from California to Texas, I believe. So I don't know. You're in Houston. That's a pretty good hike to Little Rock, but yeah, if you happen to make it up, we'd love to see you. We're going to be there a couple of days. Then we're going to drive across the east. We're going to drive all the way over to Virginia and do Jim Ingersoll's Deal Makers event. So it'll be about 500. That's what I'm told. This will be our first trip there. So there's about 500 investors that'll be there. That'd be a great networking opportunity for anybody. So we're going to be there for 3 days.
500 people.
Yeah, it ain't a thing.
You don't get nervous? I would probably throw up right before.
Oh, the first time it's just one of those things. I used to have, the fear of public speaking is greater than the fear of death for most people. And I believe it. The first time I ever spoke to a group was in Baltimore. It may have been 150 people. And I thought I was going to wet my pants before I had to get on stage, really. And it wasn't that big a deal. It was, you had to get on the stage to tell people who you were and where to find you, but it was really just round tables. And all I had to say was, hey, my name's William Tingle. I'm an investor in Macon, Georgia, and I specialize in creative finance. And I'm going to be at that table over there in the far left. So you guys come over there and talk. That's all I had to do. It was like 30 seconds.
Say one sentence. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a horrible experience, but that was a long time ago, and I've talked to a lot of people since then.
When I had to give a speech the first time, I was sick for 3 days before it.
Yeah.
And it was only probably about 40 people.
Yeah.
And I was sweating bullets.
Yeah. It can be scary for sure, but we're going to have a good time.
Yeah,
and
I'm not so much like that anymore either. But that was the first time, and I thought I would die.
Right. But you got over it, and here you are.
I'm all right now.
Yeah,
here I am on live TV.
That's right.
Sub 2 TV.
Sub 2 TV. So we're going to leave Virginia, and then we're going to drive down to North Carolina for Pam Herria down there, and T-RIA, right. And TREIA.com. And you can go check that out. We're going to do an all-day Saturday for Pam and her group down there.
What does TREIA stand for?
I'm sorry?
What does TREIA stand for?
I don't know. Of course, RIA is Real Estate Investors Association. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Triangle, probably, because it's in Raleigh. So it's probably what it is, the Tri-Cities area there. Right. But if I'm wrong, if she's on here, she can tell us. But we're going to be down there on the 17th for an all-day Saturday before we head back home.
Yeah.
Triangle. Yep. How about that? So then we're going to head back home, and then we've got our mastermind here. We're going to have our mastermind back down here in Florida. That's for our Sub-2 Max students. We're going to get those guys down here for 3 days of just talking about our businesses and what we do and how to make it better. So we're really looking forward to that. We're going to have about 40 of our students down here. We sold it out this year, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, so like in a day.
Yeah. So we have a good time. We had a great time last time. Had them over for a pool party and a barbecue, and went out to dinner a few nights, and just had a really good time. So we're looking forward to that. Anyway, so if you're in the areas, any of those places, Little Rock, Fort Smith, Arkansas, Richmond, Virginia, or Raleigh, North Carolina, send us a message if you're not sure where we're going to be, and we'd love to see you. Love to see you out there.
Let's catch a couple of these questions before we go on to other topics.
Let's do that.
We don't get too far behind.
Okay. Hi, William. Any tips to help a seller who's wanting to buy another home when we still have their previous home sub-2? Well, a couple of things you can do. If you're in our $7 coaching group, we've got a letter in there that one of our Sub-2 Max students, who's a mortgage broker, actually provided for us that you can provide to their lender that explains what's taken place. most lenders will allow at a minimum a 75% credit toward their LTV right out of the gate. So if you just took this thing sub 2 last week, they should still at least get a minimum of a 75% LTV toward their debt to income ratios. They say now that after a year, most lenders will give them the full credit toward that. It's just a wash, really. They can prove someone's been making the payments for at least 12 months. You may actually need to provide some documentation for that, cancel checks, bank statements, showing that you've been making the payment, a copy of a HUD showing the home's actually been sold, and they should get 100%. Now, is that the case? I don't know. There are too many variables out of your control. You don't know what the lender of the seller's credit score is, or how long they've been on their job right now. There are some other factors, but as far as getting credit for that payment made, just make on-time payments, and at a minimum, they'll get a 75% credit, and after 12 months, they should get the full credit, so it shouldn't impact them. Hope that helps. But anyway, there's a lender in the $7 coaching group. Andrew provided that letter for us, and it's in the file section, so you can go grab that to help you out.
If you're in the $7 group.
And if you're not,
I don't know what this is, so.
Yeah. And if you're not in the group, I don't know why you aren't.
Yeah.
Right, Jodi? Just like the website says, it's $7 a month, okay? Yeah. And I answer questions personally in there every week, and we do live trainings. And
you can't beat that.
Yeah, can't beat it with a stick. All right. So we have any other questions?
There's one.
How are people making money hosting RIA events? Well, I don't know. I don't host RIA events. I don't run a RIA anymore. I did that for a few years. That's a tough job. But people are starting to come out, I guess, when people are so tired of getting cooped up.
How did you make money when you did?
I'm sorry? How did you make money when you did? Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't. My RIA was the most.
We're very good at it.
My RIA was the most expensive hobby I ever had. It really it cost me between $3,000 and $5,000 a month to run my RIA, because we fed them and we did all kind of stuff, and I just wasn't.
Spoiled them rotten.
I did. I mean, we spoiled our members. We did all kinds of stuff.
You made them dinner and not like snacks or appetizers, right? You made them dinner.
Well, it was sort of like if you've ever stayed at the Drury, you know how they have like hot appetizers and stuff, but you can really make a meal out of it. And that's what we did. I mean, I bought a drink machine and fixed it where they were free and filled it up with drinks for them and did all kind of stuff. So I didn't make money on it. It cost
what did it cost to be a member?
It was, I don't know, $200 a year, and we paid we paid speakers to come in and do presentations. I think I wrote Pete Fortunato a check for $5,000 to come up and do a Saturday, and so you
should have a course how not to run a RIA.
Yeah, I could write that course.
Profitable RIA.
How not to run a profitable RIA. I could definitely do that. I don't know. You'd have to ask Pam or Randy.
It was probably very successful, but maybe not profitable.
We started having ours when we first started. We had it at a hotel, and then I didn't like the service we got at the hotel, so I went out and bought a commercial building. I mean, I did all sorts of stupid things, but it was just fun. It was just fun to get together, and I bought houses, so it didn't make any difference, and I made money doing that. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I'm the wrong person to ask about making money. I'm not very good.
Well, I mean, generally, how do people make money? I mean, they sell stuff, right?
Yeah, the speakers will come in and sell courses, and the RIA will get a split of that for hosting them and providing, the venue for it and everything else. And of course, they sell their memberships and that sort of thing. So most RIAs are nonprofits anyway. I mean, they don't exist to make a tremendous amount of money. Now, there's some that do. But most of them are nonprofits.
It's more for the opportunity.
Right. It's the networking and somebody bringing you a deal and things like that. I think that's why most of them do it. All right.
We got this one.
Okay. What if you bought with subject to and seller has 100,000 in equity? How to handle this with the seller if our buyer won't refinance in time and we have a promissory note with the seller for 2 years? Well, the promissory note with your seller for 2 years is the first problem. Okay. If I have a seller that has equity, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Don't do
If
that.
Yeah, if I have a seller that has equity, my conversation with them is going to be steered toward trying to find out what they need right now to get this deal done. If they have a real need to sell that house, but maybe, and they have 100,000 in equity, and I can agree to that, and that's okay. But what do they need right now? If they're getting relocated and they have a tight timeline and the house hasn't sold and they can't afford 2 house payments, well, maybe okay, I agree to give them 100,000 in equity, but what would it take right now for us to do this deal? Well, I need $30,000 for the down payment on my second house that I'm already approved for and for moving money. Okay, well, I might be able to do that. And then they just take a note for the remaining balance that is payable when my buyer refinances. And that might be 6 months from now, and it might be 10 years from now.
With no deadline.
With no deadline. Ideally, that's what you want. In the market that we've been in for the last couple of years, where it's been a seller's market and they're a little more demanding, we have agreed to 5 years, but I would absolutely not do it in less than that, because my buyer, let's say we put Joe and Sally in the house and 2 years in, we should be looking to getting them refinanced. But something happens. Joe loses his job. Sally runs off with the milkman. Life happens. And
Sally.
You can't, I know, man, Sally, she's rough, but you can't get things done. So what are your options? You got to start the process again. And you're looking at 2 years for most people to be able to rebuild their credit, get situated, and get refinanced. I want at least 2 shots at this thing. And then if it still doesn't work out, then I'm going to just go back to the seller and say, listen, this hasn't worked out. We're still making the payments. We're still trying to find the buyer. And you may have to pay them a little bit more of that equity right now to get them to extend that note.
Because if you have a situation where you already have this set up, maybe not the best way, then what? Like, what's your worst case if this is coming due soon and your buyers aren't ready to refinance? Then, like, what are your options at that point?
Like I said, your option at that point is just to go back to the seller, with your hat in your hand and say, we know this thing is due now, but our buyers haven't worked out. We've fulfilled our promise to make the payments on time to keep up the property. Can I get you to extend this for another 2 years? If they're just hard-nosed.
What is their recourse if they don't want to?
If they don't want to, they can foreclose on you. If you've given them a mortgage or a lien with that promissory note. Now, if you if you just gave them a promissory note, then they can sue you, but they can't take the property back. So, that would be my next option. If you've got to put a short fuse on this thing, try to work it where you're just giving them a promissory note that your corporation or your LLC signs for. So they can sue you, but they can't take the property back from you. Now, if the market continues on the way we think it's going to, and this thing's coming due now, the chances of them trying to force anything are much less, because their house is probably, depending on where it's at, it's probably actually declined a little bit in value. Not anything really big, but slightly. Most of the charts we see on PropStream when we go look at a property now have a peak and a little bit of a dip.
Yeah.
So they're not in the strongest position right now, and 6 months from now or a year from now would maybe be even in a weaker one. So the first thing is, don't give them a short fuse on refinancing if you can avoid it. I wouldn't do it at all. I would just pass on it, because you don't know how they're going to be when your back's up against the wall 2 years.
And it's always just better to talk to them. If you're having a little issue, it's better to just talk to them, and they're way more understanding if you talk to them than if you,
Just don't ignore them by any means. Be the first one out of the gate to say, hey, here's an issue. We want to talk about it, see what we can do. And if you gave them 30, say, as my earlier example, and you owe them 70, you may say, what if I can give you another 5 or 10 now, and we can extend this thing for another 2 years, 3 years, to give you some wiggle room there. So, but yeah, that would be my advice on it. Just talk to them. I mean, they're people. Most people are fairly reasonable. So if you fulfilled your end, you made the payments on time and did all that stuff, then they should work with you.
Yep.
Does the Dodd-Frank rule apply and or affect sub 2? You bet, Harry, it does. And in fact, I think we just released a video. We've got a podcast on it that I did, over a year ago. I did a podcast on Dodd-Frank. I did one with Bill Walston where we talked for probably an hour and a half on Dodd-Frank. Some of those are on YouTube. Some of them you'd have to go to Libsyn or Google Podcast or Apple to listen to, but we talk about that in detail. And Dodd-Frank is consumer protection, and it covers a broad spectrum of things. You really need to listen to the podcast that I did with Bill. We talked a lot about all the things that it impacts. But I've never been overly concerned about Dodd-Frank. I think even now, and gosh, it's been around for years now, there hasn't been a single person that's been prosecuted or taken to court or anything on it. Now, John Burley says there are actually attorneys in Arizona that will go seek out people who've done seller financing for owner occupants. And if it hasn't been done properly, that they'll threaten them with a lawsuit, just trying to squeeze them for some cash. But as far as the federal end of it, I don't think that's something that's been actively pursued. But go listen to those podcasts, and I think you'll learn all you never wanted to know about Dodd-Frankenstein. Yeah. That's what we call it. So cool. Okay. Good morning, Chris. Good to see you today. Hadn't seen you in a while. Seems like so many people have courses now.
Wait, there's clarification right there.
Isn't that the truth? Well, Matt, and we were actually going to talk about that a little bit this morning, about courses and trainers and teachers and what's going on in the marketplace right now. I don't know how many questions we've got. My producer's manning that, but do we have several questions? Or
we got just a couple more.
Okay, we'll get to that here later today. We're going to talk a little bit about that, the scarcity mentality that people try to throw out there, and just scare tactics, basically. Listen to it yesterday. Okay, well, if you have specifics on that podcast, Harry, ask me. But yeah, anytime you do financing, well, man, I appreciate that.
He's a genius.
Very, very kind. But the more that, gosh, I completely lost my train of thought there. If you listen to it and you have specific questions on it,
loses track of his thinking.
It's primarily an issue when you're selling with financing to owner occupants. Primarily, that's what it is. If you're selling to other investors, it's absolutely no concern to you, really. Matt, how do you qualify buyers? Well, the first step in that is just having a conversation with them. Do they sound like a decent human being? We like to sell to families. Yeah, to start with. But we're going to run our buyers through the same process they would go through with bank financing. We're going to send them to a mortgage guy. We're going to say, process these people. Tell me what's their credit, what's their situation, how long to get them where you can put them in a mortgage. And that's just preliminary stuff. Do they have the down payment that we want? That's a big key. You'd be surprised. We get people, gosh, remember the girl that called us recently, Jodi? She was like, yeah, I want to buy this house. Now, okay, well, what do you have to put down? Well, I've got about 5. Okay. Well, it was 5,000. No, 500. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you can't rent a house from me for $500 down. Well, we don't do rentals, but if we did, so they have to have the down payment. You're going to run those down.
They said it like 5. Like, hopefully you won't notice.
Yeah. But we're looking for 8 to 10% down. Will we take less? Maybe. It depends. Are they strong in all the other areas? Have they been on their job for a period of time? Have they been paying close to that house payment, what their house payment's going to be, so we know that they can afford it? Have they been paying that for an extended period of time? But run them through a mortgage, somebody to qualify them, and then really, do they have the down payment? Can they afford the pay? He's going to do all of that for you, and then they're ready to go. There's really nothing else as far as a background check goes. We do a background check, and we do that because we want to know who we're putting in the house. I don't really care too much if you have a history. Everybody's got some kind of history. I'm more concerned about what type of history it is. And there's really only a couple of things that would keep you from buying a house from me. One of them is a pretty major offense, in my opinion, and we're not going to go into that today. The second one is if you've ever forced a landlord to sit you out on the street. I don't mean an eviction filing. Some landlords will file an eviction on you if you're one day late. That's just their process, and that's okay. But if you've ever gone through the whole process, drug it out, and made them come sit your stuff out on the street, an actual dispossessory, then you can't buy a house from me. Because if you are that mindset, I can't pay, but I deserve to stay, then I don't want you, because you're going to be a problem for me. But anyway, that's it for qualifying, really. When we say we'll sell you a house, we will.
I knew somebody would ask. You're being too vague. Message
me about that. That's it's a serious crime, but it's I don't know. I don't want to get into all that here today, but it's just me. All right. Some people may not care. Do you do deals in Texas? No, we don't, Vincent. We don't like Texas. Texas used to be.
Like Texas, but not for that.
Well, yeah, Texas is fine. We don't like Texas real estate laws. Texas used to be, gosh, it's cowboy country, but now you can't carry a weapon without a license. Okay. Yeah. And there are plenty of other states that'll let you without one. As far as real estate goes, they don't like lease options, which I don't either, but I don't like being told what to do. And now, since January the 1st, they've got, and I can't remember what bill it was, but they've got all these new laws regulating contract for deed. And you can't even really do them you can do them, but gosh, the penalty for it is so severe.
But that's our favorite, so.
Yeah, that's our favorite. We don't like wraps. We just don't. We don't like to give up title. And if there are 50 states in the country, and there are only a couple where you can't do it, well, why don't you just operate in the ones where you can? It just makes life easier. So for that reason, we don't like Texas. Let's see. I'm from California. What do you think of investing in California? Average home is $600,000. LLCs are $800 yearly. I have 4 properties, looking to do my first sub 2 here. Well, here's the thing. If the average home price is $600,000 and you got a ton of people that are still buying property, and they're buying it conventionally, they're putting 10 or 20 or more % down. If you got a good deal, if you got somebody that's got a house that's worth $600 that they owe $600 on, and they'll give you the deed and walk away, there's going to be a buyer for you. And they expect to have 10% or 20% down. So will it work? Sure, it will. The thing that I would advise some caution on right now is we all know the highest price markets take the first and the heaviest hit in a decline. So, and you've got every opinion in the world out there about what's going to happen. And the truth is, none of us know. There are probably some of us that are more educated than others and have a better guess. But places where the houses are $600,000, $800,000, and $1 million median price, they're probably, if we do continue in a decline, they're going to take the heaviest hit first. So be careful with that. You'll be stuck with a house that may be worth $500,000 in 6 months. You owe $600,000 on it, and it won't cash flow as a rental. So you have no plan B. We've actually got a student that lives in California that buys his stuff mostly in Alabama. He partnered with another student, and they work in the more affordable areas. Can it work? Sure it can. There are plenty of investors that buy houses in California, but I would be more cautious for that reason. As far as the $800 a year LLC tax, if you're a full-time investor and you're making plenty of money, and you're making plenty of money, don't worry about something that costs you $800,000 a year, because the reality is you probably won't need that many LLCs. If you're putting 2 or 3 properties per LLC and you're turning those on a contract for deed where you're cashing out on them, then you're probably not going to need that many. Spending a few $1,000s a year for LLCs really isn't that much. But just be cautious because of the lack of a plan B. When we buy a house, the first question, and I ask every student this when they approach you with one, he said, what will it rent for? Because if the market declines and your buyer bails, because they do what did they call all of those in 2008, 2009? What kind of foreclosure was it? I can't remember the term now. A strategic foreclosure.
Oh, yeah.
They just make a decision. My house is worth $200. I owe $300. I'm just going to walk away because it's a financial decision. And if all that stuff starts happening, then you don't have a plan B, which is renting. In Vegas, I've been seeing $30,000 and $40,000 price drops on MLS. Do you think it's going to keep dropping? Well, sellers drop their price if they need to sell for some reason. A lot of sellers now that I talk to are testing the market, and we'll have them tell us that. We'll say, well, you dropped the price $50,000. Well, I was just seeing if I could get that. You know that, Jodi, right?
Right.
You hear those guys say that. So a lot of them are just testing it. As there are longer days on market because people are scared, you'll see price reductions. Now, the values of the property, are they actually dropping right now? It's pretty soon for that. The actual value probably hasn't dropped that much, but they're lowering the price because the pool of buyers is smaller. So buyers have more opportunities. If I'm looking for a house worth $400,000 in Vegas and they were snapping them up as fast as they went on the market 3 months ago, but now there are 20 potential properties I can look at, the sellers are competing for that buyer now. So they're dropping the price to be more attractive. Is the actual value dropped that much? Probably not. Maybe it's declined a little bit. But, the next 6 months will tell us what's really going to happen.
Terry's a dissenter to your opinion.
Okay. Well, listen, hey, and I want to hear about it, Terry. So are you familiar with the law? Listen, I get what you're saying. I and many others do these deals in Texas. And listen, I know about corner cutting, right, Jodi?
Yeah.
I know about saying that's the law. What's the penalty? It's worth it. Put out bandit signs, for example. We use bandit signs, and I know the county I'm in can fine me $50 a sign or whatever. But it's just a strategic decision, to do it. You can do land contracts in lieu of a lease option in Texas, but know what the penalties are. And if you're cool with that, man, I support you 100%. But
we just like the path of least resistance.
That's right. I don't like the fact that Texas seems so willing to try to tell me what I can do. And as these laws become,
what to do we?
Well, first it was lease options. Then they came back with this other thing. And there are just so many rules involved with it. It just it's just easier to cross the border into Arkansas or Oklahoma or wherever and say, well, I don't have all those rules, right? So that's what we like.
All right.
But yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with you about all that, Terry. Tell me how you get around the rules where if you sell on a land contract and, the buyer has can come back anytime in that land contract and sue you, and you have to pay them every penny they've ever given you and so on, punitive damages and all kind of stuff. I'd love to hear about it because I read that bill. That's pretty.
Vincent wants to get in touch with you, Terry. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see any questions right at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. Or if you guys have any, let us have them. We'll stop what we're talking about and we'll come back and get to them. And I want to get you guys, like I said, anyone here that wants to come on and talk about this next topic, I would love to hear your opinion on it. Matt said earlier, everybody's got a course now. Well, Tony Robbins and gosh, what's the other guy? I can't remember.
Graziosi.
And all of those guys, they just did that big deal a few weeks ago where they're encouraging everybody to go out and write a course. And
because it's the new way to get rich is to create courses and share knowledge. And
that's right.
Yeah, share information.
And who's qualified to do that? I don't know. I knew a guy several years. I still know him, but I guess we traveled in more of the same circles maybe 10, 15 years ago. And he went out and did a wholesale deal and wrote this big course package on it. And when some of us questioned whether or not that was a smart thing to do, he said, "Hey, I've done one. I'm qualified." And is that true? Well, maybe. I mean, maybe he got lucky.
More qualified than someone who hasn't.
Right.
But there's kind of a sliding scale, though.
Mm-hmm. If you have experience in something, doesn't matter if it's knitting or buying houses or teaching dogs tricks, whatever it is. If you have experience in that, you're skilled with that, you've been successful with that, there are obviously a ton of people out there who have less of an experience level and are do it not as good as you do, maybe. Are you qualified to teach? Well, sure. I mean, there's a pool of people that know less than you that can benefit from your expertise.
Remember I told you about that girl on that TV show? She wanted to drop out of school and she was in the 3rd grade. And her dad's like, well, if you drop out in 3rd grade, what are you going to do? And she goes, well, I can always teach 2nd grade.
That's right. She could probably do that. Is everybody? I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So if I flipped one house, am I qualified to teach people how to flip? Well, something. You can teach them something. Are you a good teacher? Well, not everybody's a good teacher. People with a lot of experience can be horrible teachers, And then some people can teach very well that don't have much experience. So
there's two different things. One's a skill that you can have no matter if you have experience or not.
Right.
And then one's experience if you don't have any skill.
Right. I'll tell you, we hire coaches all the time. We've hired coaches for Facebook. We've hired coaches for social media.
To teach us things.
I'm sorry?
To teach us thing, you mean?
Yeah, to teach us, because we want to get better at things, and you should always hire somebody with more experience. We hired a coach about a year and a half ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, and he wasn't cheap. I mean, he wasn't, super expensive. We didn't pay, $40,000 for some kind of coaching program. But I think after the first month or so, we were teaching him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't stay in that program very long, but we learned a couple of little things from him. And
I think you were a bigger fish for him than he was expecting. You already had a bunch of experience and he didn't know that.
And I've been around a while. I mean, I've taught a lot of people. I've been teaching now for 19 years. And I didn't get into this. I didn't watch a program on writing courses. I got into teaching purely by accident. As far as courses go, now I answered emails and things for people, went to events and talked to a ton of people explaining how we did things. But I started investing in real estate, and 3 years in, we were doing very well and buying a lot of houses. And I was a full-time investor, and I went to a lot of events because I was still learning stuff too. And just got approached and emailed so much. Somebody said, "You need to just write a course." And I said, "Okay." And so I did. And I was, I guess, kind of stupid in some ways, because at the time, the standard for a course was $997. That was the price. And I sold mine for $297, and we sold a ton of them, and did that for years and years and years. And that's all we did, as far as the coaching thing went. But anyway, so is someone qualified to teach? Well, I guess it depends. Most things that I've bought, I got some value from. Even the worst course I've ever bought, taught me some little thing I could
Yeah.
use. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've talked to someone that hasn't done any deals and was telling me she was going to sell all the contracts for wholesaling. Well, I'm not surprised at all. I'll tell you, I got a message 2 weeks ago, maybe it was, from one of our. He's not a student of mine, but he participates here sometimes, and messages me, and we're friends on Facebook. And he said, "Do you know this guy? He's using your logos and stuff on his website." So I went over there and took a look, and this guy had taken my actual cover from our Facebook
It said
group.
sub 2 deals on it.
Sub 2 deals. I mean, with our slogan and everything, and was using it on his page. And so I messaged him, I emailed him, and I said, what makes you think that's okay? And he never answered me, but his page was gone a couple of days later.
He did have the sense to take it down at least.
Yeah. And I have learned since he's fairly well known in his circle, but I had never encountered him before. But it's crazy. I mean, one great coaching group where he has an inner circle, elite members coach us, and I love the diversity that way. Hey, listen, if it works for you, man, somebody that I might think is the worst coach in the world or teaches crap, it may be great for you and work well for you, and do it,
Well, he's just saying this one has the elite members of the group also teach each other. That sounds like we do a little bit too with our advisors.
Right. We've got several of our students, or we call them trusted advisors, and they're people that have been around that are doing stuff that also share what they do. They teach a coaching class inside our group, and I mean, we got a fantastic group of people that our advisors teach creative structure and finance, raising private money, building your business credit, and a personal credit, and hiring and training VAs. I mean, some really practical stuff to use in your business. Quick courses or immediate cash for them gurus.
Yeah.
Well, guru.
That's exactly what some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
You told me that before. They need a little influx, of cash or something.
That's right. That term, guru used to be a respected term. Now it's turned into this comic book sort of.
Like they're kind of slimy.
If you're a guru, you're some kind of joker or something. I don't know. So what's a better word? Because I don't even like it. What I find is even people that are making millions of dollars a year selling courses will have an ad or a video, and they'll go talk about them gurus. I mean, what are you? I mean, supposedly, I don't know. I can't believe someone would use your logo. I know it, man.
Not even part of it, or cut a little part out, or use a little. Yeah. No,
they literally did that left click or whatever it is, where it's save image.
Yeah,
and put it right on their web. I mean, listen, using someone else's stuff for inspiration is one thing. Everybody does it. I mean, you see things that look very similar, but they're different. But man, that was just blatant. And what was funny to me was he wouldn't even answer me. And I sent him a message and I said, hey, why do you think this is okay? It wasn't like I, called his mother names and all kind of stuff. I just said, why do you think this is all right? But he wouldn't even answer me. And I said,
our group is amazing, and I don't know why you're not in.
Yeah, you should be in there, man. It sounds like he's got a group that he's in, and some people like to focus, on one thing, and I get it. So we'd love to have you though, Matt. We'd like to have you now at the mastermind. So, good morning, hey Kelly, good to see you in here. If you got any questions today, let us have them. We'd love to help you out. In the hood, William is what we call a triple OG. We were just talking about terms this morning. I don't know what a triple OG is, but anyway, I appreciate that. It sounds good anyway. So if we have any other questions, let's see. Tell them about that guy that called you about sub 2 and then started his own course on sub 2.
I remember who that is. I feel like
I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
I can't remember either because there really is there has been a couple.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, subject to is nothing new, and I didn't invent it. Okay. Yeah. It was going on long before I came around. So all I did was take the way I run my business, and that's all that's in our material. When Black Friday comes, you guys should do join your coaching for a one-time fee deal. I love the
like a lifetime. Is that what he's saying?
Like a lifetime thing, Matt? Is that what you're talking about? We've never done that before. I'll think about that a little bit. We'll see what happens. We usually run some pretty awesome Black Friday specials. So we'll see what's happening. Real deal. Thanks, Carlos. Carlos is one of our Max students, and he shows up occasionally on the call. It's good to see you in here.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So if we don't have any more questions, we said we were going to talk a little bit about scarcity and scare tactics. And this really plays into the earlier topic. Everybody's got a course and whatever. And you'll see that a lot. And I'm probably, I just feel like, just being, I guess, transparent about things. If you're not in the coaching side of things, you think, real estate is dog eat dog. The whole coaching thing can be. People are very protective of their tribe. They are so, and not everybody. Listen, I know some great coaches and some great teachers. But sadly, the majority are not like that. They feel like it elevates them to accuse other people of things or to malign somebody else. If I can make this guy sound bad, I'll do better. Especially if you sell the same product in the same niche that they do. I'll tell you, when I got started, I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on courses. I bought multiple sub-2 courses from multiple people, creative finance, you name it. I bought it all because there's always some little thing. This guy does something a little bit different than this one. Maybe I like that better, whatever. And I know you know what I'm talking about, Jodi. But and that's a topic for us a lot of the time because, everybody wants to say, I don't care what he says about me. It doesn't bother me. But the truth is those things are hurtful, on a personal level. If you try to be a good teacher and you really try to tell people the things, not just the great things about what we do, but the things that'll hurt you. I don't mind telling somebody if they ask, should I do this? Should I do that? I don't mind saying, that's probably not a really good idea. Right. I'm smart enough to know every deal isn't a deal. And most times you just have to walk away. I know some teachers will try to tell you there are all kind of things you can do to make something a deal. My grandfather had a saying, and I haven't said this in a really long time. You might know what I'm going to say. My grandfather had a saying. He said, you can't polish a turd. Okay. And creative finance lets you sometimes buff up a turd, but you still can't always polish it up to where it needs to be a deal. I'll give you an example, just a quick example. You see a lot of people come up with a seller and something's wrong with the deal. The interest rate's too high on the loan. The payment, maybe the amortization's too short. It's not a good candidate for seller finance or a rental. You can't cash flow. And you hear some people will say, well, you need to turn that into Airbnb. You still need to buy it. You can turn it into an Airbnb and make money that way. And we're always, yeah, that's right, Bill. We're, and I tell my students, I think that's really dangerous for a couple of reasons. First of all, you always need a plan B with a property. If you're doing creative finance, you're already able to take deals wholesalers can't. You can buy deals that are over leveraged based on cash flow. You can still sell it with seller financing and make money and not have to stick your buyer by charging $50,000 more than the house is worth. If the numbers are right, your plan B on that is a rental. So if you can't sell or finance it, if the market tanks and you owe $300 on a $200,000 house, you can still use it as a rental. You may have to keep it. Rental may not be your thing, but you got something that'll work. When you put all your eggs in one basket on Airbnb in, podunk wherever, and things are rocking along pretty good, you're making $1,000 a month, and then all of a sudden, guess what? The city council meets and they don't want any more Airbnbs in your town. And if you got one, you got 30 days to end it. Boom, or it's gone. You think that can't happen? It's happening all over the place. We've got a student right now that owned several in a town in New Jersey a couple of years ago, and they did that to him, and overnight he had to convert them all to rentals. Now, what if all of those had bad financing, and all of a sudden, instead of making $1,000 a month apiece, he was losing $500 a month apiece? What would that do to him? Well, there's no plan B on those crappy finance deals that won't cash flow. So what do? You got no equity. You got no cash flow. It's an alligator. That's a problem. And teaching those things is a problem. What do you think?
I was going to see, did you want to invite anybody to come in or?
Yeah, anybody that would like to come in and talk about it, certainly welcome to. Bill's on here. So yeah. I don't know if he wants to jump in and offer a comment on it, or anybody else.
If you want to jump in, let me know and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, we sure will.
If you're still on.
But another thing that happens, real estate is cyclical. And again, without a crystal ball, we don't really know. It looks like we've peaked and we're going to start on a little decline now. Are we actually going to? I don't know, but it looks that way. And so that's why everybody's got a course now. Everybody's coming out with something, or they're push. You get a lot more emails now. Sign up for this, join that, do this, do that, to get as many students in as possible before everyone retreats from the marketplace, because people get scared. Buyers get scared. People get out of investing. For the last 2 years, everybody that could draw a breath wanted to be a real estate investor because everybody's making a lot of money, right? So you see that big push to do that. And the people that have courses start using scare tactics. Listen, if you're buying houses, there's one that came up that comes to mind this last couple of weeks. Listen, if you're buying houses that have had a loan modification, you're going to go to jail, and all the reasons why. If you use a POA in your step 2 paperwork, you're going to go to jail if you don't do this, this, and this. Well, listen, I can step out of the house today and do a variety of things and go to jail. You know what I mean? Will it happen? I don't know. I hope not. But the scare tactics, you know what I mean? Will it happen? Well, hey, Bill.
Howdy.
Good to see you. What are your thoughts on all this stuff? Everybody's got a course and the scare tactics.
Yeah, you and I both have seen those over the years. And it's kind of interesting. You can look at some of the stuff that's coming out and you can say, oh, launch time.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, launch time. And yes, okay, here's the problem. You're all going to jail, but I'm your savior. I'm going to keep you out.
That's right. I just happen to have a course.
Skeptical.
Yeah. Of that. I just happen to have a course coming out that's going to solve all your problems.
Right.
But let me scare you first.
Yeah. Let me scare you. Don't get his stuff because he teaches dangerous things. And
because he doesn't know. I'm the one who does.
Yeah, that's right.
That's unfortunate.
Or especially if they have any letters behind their name.
Yeah. Or they try to sell you insurance that doesn't exist.
That's right. That's right.
You have to pace yourself on that one.
Oh God. I have to be, I told somebody the other day, I made a post on my wall and somebody came back to me and said, so no more discussion about Nurus and all that. I said, no, I'm over them. I don't want to talk about them anymore.
Yeah.
Most of them will be gone in the next couple of years anyway.
They don't stay around very long.
Yeah.
Or else they're around, but they're just not doing that.
Yeah. They're doing something else. They were the expert on this last year. Now they're the expert on this. For a while, it was crypto. Can you believe how many real estate experts became crypto experts? Yeah.
Overnight, baby.
Yeah. That's
overnight.
Right. That's
yeah,
right.
It's kind of like Facebook when I take a look at that. a few years ago, well, when COVID started, everybody on Facebook was a doctor. Okay.
That's true.
And then when we hit tax season, everybody's a tax expert, right? So
Right.
whatever the trend is during the time, it's exhausting sometimes to keep up with all of it.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. I found a PowerPoint. I was looking for something the other day on my computer and found a PowerPoint that I'd done. I'd completely forgot about. That was like 4 years into my investing, and I had actually listed pictures and details on every house that I had bought up until that time. And it was funny going through those. A lot of them I had forgotten about and things like that because, after 20 years, you just forget. You can't remember them all. And I've always said I only wholesaled a handful of deals, but I realized how many I had actually wholesaled. I was surprised. But you'll never see me teaching wholesaling because that's not something that I actively do or try to do.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's really a sustainable business model. Sorry, that's just my opinion, right? It builds quick cash. I'm not going to deny that. But I always tell people you're only as good as your last wholesale deal.
Yeah.
If you don't have another one, you're not making any money. I mean, you get a wholesale deal, once it's gone, you're out of business. Right. Until you generate another deal, right? Until you generate another deal. And there's some people who can generate deals just like that, right? So they're okay. Yeah. But then there are other people who have this start and stop marketing mentality. It's like boom, 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 market till you get a deal under contract. Then it's close, no marketing, right? Close that deal. And then all of a sudden you got to start your marketing all over again, starting from scratch. Yeah, and you know how long it takes to build that up. And then they say, I don't know why I can't close that one deal every 3 or 4 months. That's why.
That's right. There's no consistency in the marketing at all.
Yeah.
But I get emails from people all the time. They close 80 deals a month. Yep. I get those emails all the time. I don't know how they have a life. I don't know how they have time to do TV shows and all kind of Facebook ads and everything else.
And fly around to these companies that they get a kickback from for, never mind.
One of the scare tactics I heard when I got into real estate was you have to, too many sub-2 deals and the tenant stop paying the rent. If you can't come up with the payments yourself, you go to jail.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Who was it? A friend of ours, Williams, has always said there is no due on sale clause jail, right? I would say this is the same thing too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now you might get your butt in trouble with somebody if you don't make the payments, right? They're not going to be real happy with you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. But you got options. Yeah, that's the thing. You have options. If something happens, give the house back to them.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can do stuff. It's not like anything's the end of the world. So I was talking to, actually it was Richard Roop I was talking to when he was explaining to me his model of, he targets free and clear properties. Jodi just laughs and laughs every time we talk about this. And he says, how much you want for the house? And they say 400,000. And he said, well, you think we can do something if I pay you $450? And they go, what are you talking about? And he explains, we get seller financing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how does that work if something happens in the marketplace? And, 6 months from now, that house is worth $350. He says, well, that's when you make a call to them and say, well, I guess you've seen the news. Just renegotiate. I mean,
and the other part of it too is, let's say there's a little dip, right, in the market. Maybe the house is not worth $450. If you tried to sell it, it would only be worth $400 or even $425 or what have you. As long as you're still making the same damn cash flow, you can make the payments to this guy. It doesn't make any difference if it's over or below market. Right. You overpaid, idiot. But hey, we tend to I don't care what anybody says. We investors tend to pay more with creative financing because you'd never pay cash. $450,000 in cash or $450,000 in institutional financing for that sucker, right? But you can do it with owner financing.
That's just homeowners the last couple of years that have been
doing it.
But see, those people are the people that are going to need your help.
Yeah.
Here in the next few years.
Yep. Foreclosure. I just got a notice in my email today, 141 more foreclosures in the state of, I can't remember whether it's North Carolina or South Carolina. 141 new ones.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, make sure you know what your foreclosure rescue laws are in your particular state.
That's exactly right. Because, you can go to jail for marketing to people in foreclosure.
Absolutely right. You know what? Okay. Now, here's the thing. I do know specifically North Carolina is one of those states that has a foreclosure rescue law. Okay? But you go back and read that law and you know who it applies to? You cannot deal with people who want to retain their property, meaning they're retaining an interest in the property. Right. You cannot lease it back to them with an option to buy. Okay. And you cannot give them a promise that they have a right to buy it back at any point in time. No. That's what do you do that with your clients? No, that's what I'm saying.
That's easy to follow.
That's an easy rule to follow.
I tell these guys all the time, they're always tempted to, the seller just wants to stay 2 more weeks. And no, they have to be out before I'm going to send a dime to the lender or take title of that property.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake that I see people making. And so if you're doing something like that, you really do need to make sure you check the laws, because you could be in violation trying to be a good guy.
Right, for sure.
So be an old crotchety man like me, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Got to get out. That's right. Yeah. Matt said they close 80 deals, but make $30 or go negative on some of those deals. I'm sure the deals aren't very good deals. Well, those are wholesalers, guys.
Yeah.
80 deals
that question was back when we were talking about wholesales.
Yeah.
There's no.
Okay. The other scare tactic was do not wholesale or do sub 2 in a house with a VA loan. Did you ever hear that one? People ask every day, can you sub 2 a VA loan? I say, tell them all the same thing. Those are some of the best ones in my opinion.
You certainly can. Right. I saw one the other day, want to know if you could do a USDA loan, right? And you can. Yeah. I think some people confuse some of these with the down payment assistance that some states offer or some locales offer. I am a little bit weary or leery of those for the simple reason they check. Right. They check whether there's a deed transfer or something like that. And the homeowner has specifically said that they will pay that loan back if they ever vacate the premises.
That's correct.
And so you do have to read some of the paperwork of the sub 2s that you're taking. Right. Yeah. But if you're not doing your due diligence like that, then you got a problem anyway.
See, someone says you need to be on here soon. I could listen to you guys talk real estate all day. We tried to get him on here all day. He had another commitment.
I had a conflict. Sorry, guys.
So he's on here now. We'll get him back.
That's why I wanted to jump in at the end. It's a
good topic.
Yeah. If it's a non-foreclosure cash sale, I will sometimes lease back to the owner for a short time. And see, that's fine.
That's different. Yeah.
That's not foreclosure.
That's right. A cash sale. You close the sale. No one can contest you bought the house. They weren't in trouble. Completely different things.
Right.
So, yeah.
You just don't want to be in a position where they can come back later on and say that you big bad investor took advantage of little old me.
That's right. I was under duress. I was under pressure. Yeah. You have to be careful with those things. And most of the big difference I see with dealing with them, if you just follow the standard stuff like we talk about all the time, it's these states have these cooling off periods you have to give them between the time they sign the contract and then when you can actually proceed with it and close.
Is it like most of them are like 3 days, maybe some less, but I think the maximum I've seen is like 3 days.
But see, we do that anyway, because I'm telling you, if any point in the process, a sub 2 seller says, I'm out, let them go.
Yep.
If you got in front of a judge, if it got pushed to that, the judge is not going to look favorably upon you, making them sell you a house and stay responsible for financing. That's just not going to pass the test.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess we got to get out of here. We're running over today.
Oh, we are over.
Sorry.
We are over. So, hey, no problem.
Not your fault.
Thanks for jumping in with us today.
You're very welcome. We'll have to do it sometime when I can stay on longer.
Yeah, let's talk soon and do something. We'll ask everybody what they would like to see us talk about, and we'll do something soon. Okay. Have a good day, buddy.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap it up today for us. We appreciate y'all being on. Yeah, we had a great time and answered a lot of questions. Hopefully we helped you guys out. Listen, share in the comments what topics, or email, message me or Jodi. Tell us what topics you guys want to see covered here, and we'll try to steer our future episodes toward those topics.
Have a little bit of topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Just
and we'll bring some people in and let them share their thoughts on it and that stuff. Maybe we can get Matt in here. Matt's on here almost every week, but
yeah,
I wouldn't know Matt if he bit me. I don't think I've ever seen him.
Like a mystery Matt.
Yeah. So we'll get you in here and see what you think. Carlos, we'll get you on here, and all you guys participate. So we'd love to have you.
Jeff Hugs is on often too, and he's fun to talk to.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. We have Jeff on here occasionally. I've been trying to pin Jeff down to get Jeff and Kevin on here to talk about loan mods with people in foreclosure and how you can help sellers in foreclosure. I know Jeff does a lot of that kind of targeted, helping people out and stuff like that. Right. So, all right, guys, I guess we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you guys next time. So talk to some sellers.
Buy some houses.
All right.
All right, bye.